I want to talk now about veteran-owned small business verification program. Public Law 109-461 created a new contracting program within the Department of Veteran Affairs for small businesses and for veteran-owned businesses. It expanded the Service Disabled Veteran Business Program, and these new rules are contained in two new regulations. 48 Code of Federal Regulations, Parts 802, 804, 809, and many others talk about the veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned small business program. These were amended in September 2009. 38 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 74, contains the regulations regarding the Veteran-Owned Small Business Verification Guidelines Program. This was clarified most recently on January 19, 2011. This regulation defines the requirements for verification of a veteran-owned small business or service-disabled veteran-owned small business in order to be part of this program. The experience since the verification program started in mid-2008 shows that some of the applicants do not fully understand how to apply for this program. That is what we want to address today. The application is of critical importance. The Veterans Administration will look at the application for these programs that comes from a small business owner. The application is also supplemented by an on-site inspection in some cases. It's very important to provide the correct documentation, to take the correct position, in other words, to take your facts and answer the questions to meet the requirements of these programs. Failure to do so can result in a denial of your application, and then that will result in you not being able to be part of the certification program, and you won't be able to compete for the Veterans Administration set-asides. Now, it's important to note that other federal agencies have different guidelines. So a denial by the Veterans Administration for their veteran-owned small business or service-disabled veteran-owned small business program is not a death sentence that will prevent your company from applying for any federal government set-asides. It means that you will not be eligible for the VA's verification program. However, you'll have to address your certification with other agencies directly with those agencies. So, let's talk about what you can do to become eligible for this program. The core requirements for the program is that the veteran have direct and unconditional ownership of at least 51% of the company and have full decision-making authority. These are the two main requirements. And of course, there are a lot of different details to qualify in order for your company to meet those two requirements. The veteran has to manage the company both on a strategic policy level and a day-to-day management basis. So in other words, the idea, the vision for the company has to come from the veteran. Really, the veteran has to be in charge of the company. But the veteran also has to manage the day-to-day affairs of the company. A manager cannot be a non-veteran in a veteran-owned company, and it cannot be a non-service disabled veteran if you're applying for a service disabled veteran status. Other requirements are the veteran has to hold the highest officer position in the company. So if you have a president, vice president, treasurer type officer set up, the veteran or the service disabled veteran has to be the highest ranking officer. If you have a limited liability company that does not have officers but has members, then the service disabled veteran or the veteran has to be the manager of the company. And there cannot be a co-manager who is not a veteran or a service disabled veteran. Is that confusing enough? Well, there's more, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. The next requirement to be aware of is that the veteran should be the highest compensated employee in the company. Now, there is an exception to this rule. The veteran cannot cannot be the highest compensated employee, basically, if you can come up with a good reason. So there has to be a logical reason that's acceptable to the Veterans Administration. The veteran also has to have the managerial experience to run the company. So the veteran has to establish that the veteran knows how to perform in this business, whatever business that you happen to be in, and that you have the experience to run the company. Some of the purposes or the intent of these rules and regulations is to make sure that the veteran-owned company is not just a shell company that's put on top or as cover for another company. So the Veterans Administration will be looking to make sure that the veteran or the service-disabled veteran actually owns the company, actually manages the company, and actually has the experience and the knowledge to run the company and does run the company on a day-to-day management basis. So these are important requirements, and the Veterans Administration will be looking intently with scrutiny to see whether or not your company meets these requirements. This program, if you do meet the requirements though, the program will enable you to be eligible for the Vendor Information Pages Database, the VIP program. And once you're in that program, then you will be able to compete for the Veterans Administration set-aside contracts. Now these contracts are designed for veteran-owned businesses. They are for functions and contract requirements that can be performed by small veteran-owned businesses. So it is worth your time and effort to try to get certified for the VIP program, because there are contracts out there set aside for you and other veterans-owned businesses to compete for.